Kevin Smith has entered the studio.
What's up, Kevin? Man? That video, we're talking about the Kennedy assassination and the woman who she was in the book depository
Jason,
and filming the way that Kennedy was going. She was from Oswald's point of view, but she didn't know how to use a video camera. I forget her name, but you can see, I've seen the footage.
I've never seen this footage. So there's alternate angle to the.
Oh yeah, but you don't see the assassination because this dumb woman didn't know what she was
pointed the
doing.
camera at the floor.
Wait.
A rifle barrel view.
Wait, this has to be online. I got to see this.
Yeah, it is.
And when did this come out? Because
it's been out for the entire time.
When did you lose so much weight? What happened?
Oh, thanks, man. I've just been going to the gym and eating better.
He's been working it.
I don't want to come in anymore. I want to stand next to you. We look like number 10.
25 pounds, right, Jimmy?
Yeah, 25.
Can we see this video? I've never seen it before.
Yeah, maybe we have to have...
then, of course,
You're out of your mind. Breaking news is Jimmy's thin.
Oh, no, we've been talking about that.
I imagine.
Yeah, okay. Every pound we've been
I've
like,
never
holy
seen
fuck.
the video. I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, it's...
Wait, so she's filming him before they make the left turn, and then all of a sudden the camera goes down because she's...
Yeah, she fucks up the camera, but she would have had
She doesn't drop it because there's a gunshot.
No, I think she panicked.
Can you find that real fast?
Yeah, look for JFK assassination from book depository.
She's like, oh, he's so handsome, and just
she just didn't know what she was doing. Yeah.
She didn't sell me.
What? Oh, it's silent, right?
Okay,
yeah.
You've seen the video?
Yeah, I saw it a while ago, like years and years ago.
No kidding.
What a dummy.
Restroom?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
All the way.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. Go to the end of this.
Have the intern show you where the
end of that hallway, make a right.
Yeah, and then just keep heading down the hall.
You'll find it.
And he walked on down the hall.
Who was it? Bill Hicks, who had the bit about, like, you know, when you're, I think when you're elected president, they bring you into a room, sit you down, and show you the Kennedy assassination from an alternate angle. Any questions?
Right. Got it. We understand who's in charge here now.
We were just talking about technology, and obviously, you know, if that went down today, we'd have so many angles of the Kennedy assassination. We would pretty much know exactly what happened that day.
Look how quickly they pieced Boston together.
That's
what was it, Lord and Taylor security footage?
Between everybody.
What I have not followed since last night. Have they revealed that they did arrest somebody?
No, that was a mistake, I think.
It was a mistake.
I don't know. It's not necessarily a mistake. I don't know if they want to give too much out.
Because the police and FBI had said there isn't a suspect, and then today they're saying, well, there might be.
Right. I think they're
protecting their fucking...
Yeah, they're keeping it tight to that. Because if they needed the public's help, they would have fucking said, this is the guy for sure we're looking for. And they did not do that for whatever reason.
They don't want to tip their hand, as they say.
Yeah, I think they...
Well, they keep saying that, like, we have pretty good footage of a guy coming in, putting a pressure cooker in a garbage can, and then walking away.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't they show the public that? Because one person would know that person.
Might not want to let the guy know that everyone knows.
They're just not willing to give us
now. And so, in today's news, the ricin thing is not related at all, right?
No, I think that's just coinky-dink.
And then the Texas thing.
That was Texas? A fire at a fertilizer
It just blew up a fertilizer that destroyed 65 homes.
Crazy.
Did you see the explosion? You see the video yet?
I watched it. I didn't see the video of the explosion, but I saw the video of a guy who was talking about, like, a first responder. He was an EMT guy. He's like, there was a fire, we went over, and then the fire hit, and boom, got
it looked like a nuke.
Let us show you. We got to show you the video.
I'm still waiting to see the Kennedy assassination from the alternate angle.
We're looking for that too. But basically, it's a father is filming the fire with his. It sounds like a daughter.
Right.
Just filming the fire, and then here it is. Here, Kev. Instead of explaining it.
Yeah. Somebody will
watch this.
Send me that link, please.
This thing is.
Do you prefer it when people use their iPhone lengthwise?
No, I don't scream about it.
You just want to
turn your fucking phone.
Or do you think, like, now we'll get used to this over the course of the next 10 years and be like, this is
I think there'll be a built-in app that just does it for you.
Yeah, I don't understand why it doesn't.
Because this is ridiculous.
That's World Star Hip Hop fucking view.
You know. Here, just show Kevin this, and then we can move on with other stuff. So the father's just
so they were just
this.
shooting it for the sake of shooting.
Yeah, the daughter's in the car. It's like a cool moment they're having with each other.
This is crazy.
Watch this.
It's a big fucking fire, but it's like nothing compared to the explosion that happens. You got to know you're too close.
You should collapse.
I would never think I was too close.
Really?
I mean, well, I guess you wouldn't put together that fertilizer explodes.
Oh, you okay?
Dad?
You okay?
I can't hear.
Come here.
I can't hear. Get out of here. Please get out of here.
Oh, my God.
Please get out of here.
Crap.
Please get out of here. Oh, my God. Dad, please get out of here. I can't hear. I can't hear anything.
Shit.
I can't hear anything.
Oh my God! I'm so scared. I'm gonna cry.
Isn't that terrible?
Dad, go! Dad, go!
But you got to assume everyone's okay because the guy posted his video online. So that's how we figured it out earlier
that's
today.
Kind of the most gripping part of those eyewitness videos now is just hearing people react. The Boston
the
video
reaction.
was the guy just going, "Holy, right? Holy,
yeah." The reaction to the shit is like what is crazy.
Can you show him the still from that video? Because and then
fucking,
but
it's like a bomb going on.
Basically, he's like, I think this is going to collapse soon. He's all like, he's in on it. I mean,
this is what a fire
the
looks
moment.
like.
Yeah.
But watch,
Hey,
look at the
darling.
still. Look at the still that.
That fucking thing is like it literally dropping a bomb out of a B-52.
That's why the entire town is destroyed.
Look at that. That's the actual explosion.
It was so intense it reached them.
Yeah.
In the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out how far away they were.
A couple of 100 yards.
Our first guess was like 8 miles. And we're like, no, we're fucking idiots. It's not that far.
Not quite that far. Yeah, that's.
show right there, look.
Oh, they were showing it?
Had it like a
Yeah. That's fucked up, man. That's fucked up.
Apple stock tumbles below 400.
Oh, that's fucking
We were talking about that
awful.
today as well.
What's going on?
I think
Apple.
everyone's just catching up finally.
They lost like $25 yesterday. Something
I'm
like
just
that.
miserable.
Crazy.
Really. You know why? Because I invested. That's
Yeah.
why I'm responsible.
What do you get in at?
$390.
So what is it now?
It's 400, but it went up to 700.
Oh, at one point.
And I held it. Ooh, it'll be 1,000. Fucking
Do you think it'll ever go back up?
No,
Not if
not to
yes, as soon as I sell it. If I sell it, buy.
I don't think it goes to 700 anytime soon.
So
No
what is the
fucking
idea?
way.
You think like, well,
I think everyone just
we got this.
everyone's started catching up.
Right.
That
I think.
Samsung phone really.
I'd go with the
Oh, the
Samsung.
Androids and whatnot.
I got
That
the Galaxy
I thought you meant
S3.
all Apple people caught up and they're like, I've already got everything. I don't need
Oh
it
well,
But I think you're right. It's like other people are
I think
making
everybody else
smartphones.
they had such a lead on it.
They were really the only game in town for quite a while. I mean, they had other ones that are like, well, this is your iPhone killer. We got it right here. It's
Everyone
like,
was trying.
Really? Are they lining up at stores fucking for hours on end to buy that piece of shit? I don't think so.
I still like my iPhone though.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
But wow, man, that's a big drop.
yeah,
you do
huge.
What's going on in the world, man? Why?
I don't know. It's a weird.
Somebody on Twitter just hit me up this morning going like, I listen to your podcast and all you do is talk about movies. Why don't you talk about current events? Because they're fucking depressing.
Yeah, shit.
You're so right.
I'd rather just dwell on escapism and be like, hey, man, Batman. And that's it. And move the fuck on.
No, I think you give people a good release.
I think that's what it's about, right? It's certainly, you don't want to hear me talking about the issues. I don't have any deep
I love when
insight.
we push off to some silly, dumb, dopey thing
I think
just to
that's
get
what-
away from this shit
that's
for a
what
while.
people want. They're like, just make me escape. Particularly if you're listening to like morning radio and whatnot. You're listening to you guys. You don't want to sit there and be like, remind me how terrible shit
How
is.
shitty everything
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
and
Make
how
me
funny.
laugh, bitches.
Well, we're
That's
like,
your job.
we're kind of
Yeah, we do delve into
but then
you have
we're
to.
aware enough, to try to push away from it and
Got a goof on it.
yeah.
So you did a cartoon, a Jay and Silent Bob super groovy cartoon movie. I'm always amazed at how it's hard to motivate me to do most things, and you are fucking always
You're
on
an
a
animal.
project. I can't.
I'm terrified of being irrelevant, so naturally I'm always trying to work. You guys got it easy because every day you wake up and people are going to be listening to you and whatnot. But like in my world, you wake up, you're like, I hope people are still interested today.
Yeah.
So if you're making a movie once a year or once every 2 years, it's a lot of time for people to be like, well, while you're doing something else, I'm going to fuck off over
Right.
here.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to kind of keep them intrigued, keep them interested.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things that came out of his sobriety. Homie here used to be all heroin and OxyContin out and shit.
Nice.
And now he's, as you can see, he got clean. I think it was like the second time. The first time he got clean, he was clean for what we thought was 6 years and turned out to be 5. And he was lying for about a year of it or something. He'll be like, I wasn't lying.
Were you a good liar?
He was pretty good. We all
He was
believed
good
him.
at it, yeah.
Even the dude was literally.
I was getting high for so long, I like sort of forgot how, like I thought I took my 6-year cake, like I was coming up on my 6-year cake, but I was really coming up on my 5-year cake, got surgery, started doing painkillers, and I was like, well, I was taking them as prescribed, and then when I was even taking more than prescribed, I was like, well, I'm not really getting high because I'm not doing oxys or heroin.
Oh, so it's not really getting
so
high.
It
right?
sort of was just not so much me lying as much as being confused on it. It really was. I
The
wasn't
truth
at the time.
confused me, so I
did, it
stopped
did.
telling it.
Well, no, I'm saying in the beginning, and then when we really sat down and like really thought about the date, like what the birthday was, it was coming up on 5 years and blah, blah, blah. So yeah.
You've been.
So that was the first time.
But
Yeah.
he's been to hell and back, and he looks way better than all of us. What the fuck?
Oh, stop.
I saw that on Twitter. I put up
fuck,
a picture on
man?
Facebook of us yesterday, and somebody was like, "How come he doesn't age?"
You really don't
They
age.
said him, and I was like, "What about me?"
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, you fuckers.
All right, so that was the first time. Then the second time.
First time, and then now he's on the second round and of longevity and sobriety. And you're up to what? How many days?
So I don't know. It's 1,000 in like 15 days.
Oh, man.
So
Is that
we-
over 3 years? Or no,
It's almost 3 years.
Oh, that's
yeah,
good.
yeah. I know. I always sit there. I'm like 360.
Yeah.
I try to
Doing
count
math.
it up. I have, yeah. But yeah, it's like 1,015. So almost 3 years. I'm coming up on.
1,095 will
That's
be
great.
3 years.
Look at you, man.
80 days
Goodwill
away.
Hunting and shit with the math. Just busting it. So he was in his early sobriety, like in the first 2 months of this 1,000 days run. He was looking for something to stay busy. He was like, I need something to keep me busy. And so he's like, I want to do something in movies other than act. Like, what else is there to do? I was like, there's a bunch of stuff that he could direct. He's like, I don't want to do that yet. I said, what do you think about doing? He goes, produce. I want to be a producer like Scott Mosier. And I was like, do you know anything about producing? He's like, no. I was like, then you are a producer. Welcome to the club. So I said, look, I'll give you some material. I gave him a script for this comic book I'd written a while ago called Blunt Man and Chronic, because Jay and Silent Bob are superheroes.
Yeah.
I said, everyone's superhero crazy now. Take this. Maybe turn it into a web cartoon. And he went away with this dude, Steve Stark, who does our Smautomation. He takes our audio, makes cartoons out of it.
See, that's what we.
You guys, I don't understand why you aren't doing it now.
I don't.
Yeah,
we did an animation thing
have a
that
few of
went
them, but-
really well, and then I don't know.
You don't even.
We had an
we're in a
animation
world now
fest.
where you just basically say on the show, "Hey, somebody make a cartoon,"
Yeah.
and they will send you a cartoon.
Yeah.
Well, we got
That's
Coke
true.
Logic,
Yeah.
who does
That's
an
great.
amazing job, but we want to kind of get more looks at our shit. We should just do it and fuck the animation festival
course.
angle. We had an animation festival, like it was a highbrow event for once for us because we're always down and dirty.
Right.
It was people loved it.
They just took segments of our show and animated
and
it.
animate on top of it.
We had a
Right.
whole festival. We got a winner and all that shit.
Yeah, they were
it did
amazing.
really well.
Now, why didn't you do it again?
Well, because we were caught up in actually doing it as an event again. Maybe we should just say fuck it and just get it online. As
It should just be a show. It should,
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer TV show.
Because you never know what bit they're gonna. They in their minds they want they want to animate, and then they have what they feel like what we look like in animation, which is
Right.
always different. So you have like 10 different Opies, 10 different Jimmies,
And it's just
10 different
flattering
Ants.
to see somebody drawing you and taking your words
Sure.
and somehow making you funnier.
That's
like
amazing.
you say funny stuff, but they animate on top of it.
Yeah.
and you're even more clever based on the visuals.
Yeah, it looks hilarious. I love those.
Good stuff.
But that's what you guys are doing.
We found a dude named Steve Stark years ago. It's going back about 5 years now, that he had sent us a cartoon off of one of the Smodcasts. And we were like, oh my God. And we had the same notion of like, let's do this on TV. But that's like the old thinking. Like,
Yep.
I need permission. Somebody give me money to do this. And it was like Scott Mosier was like, what do you want? Do you want a TV show or do you just want cartoons about yourself? And I was like, I want cartoons about myself. He's like, so let's pay for them. We'll just do them
Good for
here.
you.
So we started doing them. That dude's been around for a while. So Mewes was like, I want to do this thing. I said, team up with Stark. So they went off, and he came back like 2 months later with like about 10 minutes. Actually, it's 5. I just watched it the other day. It's 5 minutes of like what was going to be the first web cartoon of Blunt Man and Chronic, it was called. And it was so good. Like, they had done it. And, like, normally I'm there when he does the performance and I'm directing and stuff, but he was doing his performance without me. It sounded great. They put together something funny. It took the script and something that shouldn't make me laugh anymore because I wrote it years ago and I know this stuff inside and out. Made me laugh, man. And I was like, this is viable, dude. Like, never mind web cartoon. Like, you could turn this into, like, a whole movie. And he was like, if we turn it into a movie, can we take it out like Red State? And I was like, yeah, because I guess he liked the Red State tour. He didn't go on it that much, but he liked the idea.
That Red State idea was amazing.
It was fun.
And
So
I
that's
went-
what we're doing with this. Same thing.
Awesome.
But what's smarter about this one? Like, I love the Red State tour, but Red State was figuring, the tour was figuring out how to do it and make money off of it.
Right.
Like, we
Yeah.
paid off our bills and stuff. But the only way at the end of the day, I was like, the way we could have done better is if the movie wasn't as pricey.
Right.
It was a $4 million movie, which isn't that expensive. But if you're going to do this kind of touring thing and four-wall thing,
Right.
you don't have as much leeway or as much headroom. So with this flick, man, they went into production without thinking it as a movie. They were just kind of do it as a web short. Once they were like, it's going to be a flick, they put it together and they had a budget. So I was like, what's the budget? And he was like, $69,000.
Wow.
And I said, why? And he goes, because 69 nukes. And I was like, the budget's based on a fucking sex joke?
Nice.
But they kept it to that. So the movie, the whole cartoon cost us 69 grand. That's what I'm saying. Like, you guys, crazy not to be making some animation. So we take it now. Like, we put our tickets on sale for the tour a couple months back. Day one tickets go on sale. By the time day one ticket sales are done, we're already in profit.
It's called, by the way, let me plug it, csmod.com/groovy movie, because there's a whole bunch of venues you guys are doing all over the country. And there's like a...
one here in New York is the Best Buy. We're going to be here Tuesday doing the screening at the Best Buy. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Can we go? Can we go?
Yeah, we'll give you guys tickets.
I would love to go.
I mean, it's at night, and I know sometimes you guys.
Oh no, I'll fucking stay up for that.
Is there a talk afterwards?
We're doing the movie first, and then afterwards we do our Jay and Silent Bob.
Can I tell you, when you did that with Red State, you get to see this cool movie, and then next thing you know, the actors are on the stage. I was blown away.
It was fun. We kept it going,
and other people are starting to kind of like follow your lead a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
there are some cats going out there, I guess. And I mean, look, it's not if you want to be a huge success in the movie business, obviously do it the traditional way with the studio behind you.
That's boring.
Commercials, but this is a cool alternative for us. You know what I think about it is, like, this is for like us and the hardcore fans. We don't want to bother anybody. Like, sometimes, you know, movies come out mainstream, you're inundated with ads and crap like that, and it's just like, ours is like, we don't want to bother anybody. We'll just be over here with our fans doing this thing, and it's been amazing. Like, it's like doing a rock concert every night or something. Man. So we did that with Red State. Now we're hoping to do it with this as well. So far, so good. We start in Atlanta on Sunday, and then we go to D.C., Tarrytown, then we're back here in the city, and then Philly and stuff. So we'll do this all year long. And with it being in profit already, then it's just like we go out there, and it's
gravy.
You're printing money at that point.
You've got an empire, Kevin Smith.
It's little, though. Everyone says that. They're always like, you got an empire. I'm like, yeah, it's more of a blip pyre. It's not very big, but we're what it is. It's cool.
We were talking about you the other day. I wasn't sure if it was on the air. Sometimes I get that, you know, I don't know, whatever, because we talked the whole time. But I can't believe how many podcasts you do a week.
Yeah.
How many hours is that?
I basically do the same amount of time or days. I don't even do time that you guys do, but I got 5 a week. You guys do 5 shows a week.
Yeah.
Same diff. It's not amazing. For radio people, you should be like, you're slacking.
Right.
Get more content.
because every hour has to be different with you. That's what's amazing.
Each show is different. But if you listen to all your shows, like based on the content you get every day, the people come in or the news you're talking about, every episode's different.
Well, now we joke because we're frustrated by all the podcasters because they do an hour a week, most of them.
And walk away.
We did our first hour today. I go, yeah, that's our podcast this week.
Yeah.
See you next week.
Nice.
But we don't have that luxury.
Must be nice.
Do you guys podcast the show, though, when it's done?
We're not allowed to.
No, why would we? That would be embracing new media. That would be silly.
Wait, so once the show ends,
see me biting my teeth. It's so frustrating. I'm like, we have to be in the iTunes world. Do you understand?
Once it ends,
and we have
that's it.
You get on demand, but
they have their on demand shit. But I'm saying, look, we have 8 years of material.
Yeah,
that we can't even play all the 8 years anymore because we're playing our newer shit. So take the old shit, put an hour on iTunes every week. So we're in the iTunes world with a little fucking commercial. You know, these guys are doing fresh shows every day on Sirius XM,
and it drives everybody back to the Daily Show as well.
It's a terrible lack of embracing new media. It's embarrassing.
But
it's a little strange.
iTunes and you make the charts and all that. That's big.
Do you think it has everything to do with Sirius XM being like, hey, we got our thing going
on
here.
Lost.
We don't want to.
Yes,
they're lost.
Yeah. They're very hung up on exclusivity.
But
they seem to be back in the day, but I don't think that matters anymore.
No, it doesn't, but try to sell them on that.
No, because you want to make it as inconvenient as possible for people to get it. Because you really want people to walk through a mile of shit to enjoy your product. That's the best way to do it. Why make it easy?
We don't have smart people around us. They don't have a vision.
But the good news is you're getting paid.
Oh, yeah.
That's the difference. Us podcasters, we may have some smart people around, but nobody has any money.
That's a good point.
Advertisers still not really there?
Not like it is here in radio. Like, you'll still get advertising, and there's definitely some great organizations that have discovered, like, hey, podcasts, this is a dedicated medium where the listeners will listen to the commercial. They're not going to walk away. They're not going to tune out. They're sitting there as part of it because you support the program, you support that which supports the program. So it exists, and you can you could cover for us, we cover lots of our storage costs and whatnot. We move servers to kind of keep it cheaper as well. Because that's the thing, all these podcasts free for everybody else, but for the person that hosts them, that costs money on a server. Every time people hit them, you're being charged. Like for the first 2 years, I was like, podcasts are free. And my business manager was like, for everyone but you. Like, you need to pay for this crap. And I was like, oh shit. So that's when we started monetizing, going out on the road with it.
I was going to ask, how do you make your money?
I mean, for me, it was more about like, I just want to cover the cost on the server. So I'm not paying for everyone to listen to this stuff. But where I make my money, some people do the advertising thing. Like Adam Carolla, he does his podcast all the time. And his podcast is essentially his morning radio show. He moved to podcast form. So he kept the format with the commercials and ads and stuff. I don't mind the ads. I'm happy to do it. And we do ads on our podcast, but I didn't want to be beholden to like the advertising dollar. Not that I'm like,
you
fuck
didn't want to be held hostage.
Well, yeah, I want a little more freedom. And also like if you're dependent on advertising every waking moment of your life, you're like, do we have an ad for tomorrow? So I didn't want to be that. So I was like, all right, where do we make our money? And how I figured, it's not even I figured it out, but I figured, okay, all these podcasts drive people to the live show. That's it. Right. So basically for us, the podcasting is advertisement for the live show. And the live show, we make our coin.
That's what I try to tell these people, because it's like sometimes you can't put your hands on where the money's coming from. It just will bring more people to our show eventually. It'll all funnel down.
And also
but they have to see it immediately.
When marketing understands, like when the advertisers understand, put it together like, okay, yeah, TV is a wide net, but people don't sit there and watch commercials on TV. They kind of speed through them with a DVR. Radio, most people walk away during commercials. But podcasts, they will sit there and listen. You can put it at the beginning, middle, end, but they'll sit there and listen to it. And once they realize, like, you get 300,000 to 500,000 dedicated earballs that are like, oh, they're motivated and inclined to try out that product and stuff, they'll understand that that's a medium that they want to be putting more money. It's sick, easy money for an advertiser to be like, hey man, we're hitting this many people, and it's guaranteed. It's not like, I hope people are listening.
Well, they can see it's almost like YouTube clicks. They see in front of them the exact amount of you can't lie about the numbers.
Never lie.
But they can't change the way they do business either. Advertisers, they're having a tough time looking outside the box because they're used to a certain way as well.
But if I was an advertiser, I would be
you would think
this moment right now where I'm like, look, for years I've been paying this much.
And you could get in cheap.
And knowing about results about this. But now we could qualify and quantify our results. So I'd rather spend this much more effectively in different areas. It's still TV's the big sexy where everyone's like, you need a commercial. But and I'm not denying that. Of course, commercials on TV, without them, there would be no television programming. But that's not the only place to spend your money. And people forget about radio. Terrestrial is still huge. Like, when I went out on the Red State tour, I would ask people, how many people are here because they saw me on TV promoting this? And you see a few hands go up. I'd be like, how many people are here because they heard me on a radio show? And that would be like 85 to 90%. People sit in their cars and go to work and listen to the radio. Like the way that for years and years, people are like, radio's dead. Bullshit. Like, radio is a powerful medium. That's why I keep trying to get into it. I'm like, that's the big sense.
We get a lot of celebrities that we hear, they just don't do radio. And I go, you're just
dumb.
And we're not
dumb publicists.
And we're not talking about the over-the-top A-listers that just, for some reason, feel they're above it. We're talking about guys that absolutely could use the help on their project, but they don't do radio.
I don't understand that.
Dumb, right?
Because there's no, I've been in this business nearly 20 years now. I've never heard anybody go like, ugh, radio, or in the real world. But I've heard a lot of people, like actors and stuff, who are just like, well, radio, do I have to call in, blah, blah, blah.
Let me hit up Tim in Michigan. He's got a question for Jason, who's also in studio. Jason Mewes. What's up, Tim?
Yeah, I was wondering I have a terrible opiate addiction myself, and I was wondering how he maintains and got himself sober and managed to stay that way. I'll hang up and listen, but thank you guys.
All right.
Again, the podcast, what we're talking about now, for me personally, the podcast has been a big help because this time around, me sharing my stories and keeping fresh in my head things that I've done and where I don't want to go back to, like, Christmas time, setting my couch on fire and stuff.
A tradition?
It's, because, like we were saying earlier, when we were saying earlier that it was almost 5 years, I think when I got my, when I got the surgery and got the painkillers, I was like, oh, I almost have 5 years, or in my head it was almost 6 years, and I'm fine. But I wasn't going to meetings, and I wasn't talking to people, and I wasn't really accountable to anyone. I was hanging out with a few people that were just normal, and they didn't understand. So, like, even my one buddy, I was like, hey, man, I just got surgery, and I ran out of my pain meds. And he was like, oh, I have a bottle, because he didn't know any better. But now that I share with my friends and everyone around, I'm just straight up like, hey, you know, if they're like, hey, you want to go have a drink, you know, a glass of wine, I'm like, I can't. And they're like, what? It's not going to do anything. I'm like, Jesus. No, it will do something. So I think just be honest with people and go to meetings and find some people that you feel like you can open up to share what's going on with you, and to keep fresh, even if it's a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, keep fresh. Like, hey, man, things are good now or normal, but you know, all it takes is one drink or one puff and stuff. Like, weed to me, it's like, I wish I could smoke weed, but I can't, just because it's the mindset. But I'm not against weed at all. Like, you know, to me, weed is a good thing. Like, I have a friend and my mom who passed now, though. It was the only thing that helped them eat. So I actually think weed is good, but I still can't do it myself because it's the mindset of like,
getting high.
Yeah, it would take me back. I look at weed too. Like, that was one I didn't have terrible memories associated with. Yeah. But unfortunately, I've used up all the good times, and it's the price I'm paying for having fucked up so much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Jimmy's like 26, 27 years in.
26, yeah.
26 and change.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. It's like I can't.
17 he knew.
So.
I was at a meeting once where the dude was talking about, he's like, I got 26 years clean. And I was like, 26? And he seemed young. He started talking about, like, he was doing coke at age 10. He lived out in Hollywood and shit like that. So he's like, Hollywood in the 80s, man. We'd come home from school and do coke. And I was like, at 10 years old. But he knew at age 16, he's like, I had a run. And then by 16, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And you would imagine...
He's probably lying about his age. He's in Hollywood. He was probably like, everything was 10 years. He was probably 20 and 26.
I was actually 20.
He was the producer in the room. He's like, I got sober when I was 4. It's a fucking miracle.
I was like, this guy's young and smart. That was weird, though, hearing that, man. I was like, that's a long time clean. And to clean up, to be young, I mean, but you're young as well at that point.
I don't want to say his name, but our buddy, my buddy, who I talk to all the time, he was like 14 when he was on the street using, and had like lost all his teeth by like 16. Wow. Like, that's how bad.
What was he doing? Was he doing meth?
Hardcore meth, coke, heroin.
He talked about going to his first meeting, sitting in the back with his hand over his mouth because he had no teeth whatsoever.
At like 16, he was like 16. Homeless and like that bad. Fuck. Like, he was really in bad shape. So yeah, it's pretty crazy when you hear people that young getting into it, but I mean, it happens.
What do you do when you get the urge?
It's not weird hearing them get into it. It's weird hearing that they get out of it. Like, to have the presence of mind at 16 or 17
to just know,
to be like, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Right,
because usually that kind of...
I put myself back to 17. I'm like, I'm just...
if you were 17, 16, you're like, this feels good. I'm never going to stop. Why should I?
But I think it is pretty amazing. I really do.
So when you get the urge, do you call somebody immediately, or do you...
I haven't had an urge, because, I mean, between talking about it, like, we're on the road all the time talking about it, and my wife, and spending a lot of time with Kevin, and I mean, I would say what I have an urge for more, and it's not like a serious urge, is booze. Like, I almost to that fact to where I'm just like, man, why can't I just have a drink? How awesome would it be to be able to go to a ball game and have a couple cold ones? And but the opiates,
that's true. Over the last few years, that's the only thing I've ever heard him talk about. He's like, you tempted anymore? He's like, every once in a while I see a beer commercial, I want a beer. I was like, why?
Yeah.
It looks like everyone's having a good time, and I can't figure out why I can't do that.
They're not accurate, though. You never see a fucking Bud or Michelob Light commercial where you fast forward, the guy's being pulled out of a car with a fucking a 9-year-old's leg in his grill. Beer companies never show you fucking trying to keep an erection, or for calling a woman, or confessing a childhood homosexual incident to a room full of male friends.
Good times were made for Michelob.
Exactly.
I want to get a beer for Jimmy right now. Oh, man. I want to hear these stories.
They do paint a lovely picture, though.
What was it? Yeah. You keep mentioning the surgery. What was the surgery?
Oh, kidney stones. They put a tube in that. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
They put a tube right in my...
Oh,
fuck. No fun,
they couldn't do that ultrasonic shit?
And I remember...
Were you awake when they were doing it?
No, they put me out, but when I woke up, they gave me something, and I just remember, like, on the way home, like, feeling the side of my car, and my wife at the time had never seen me messed up I had.
Shit.
You know, we were like, I had like 2.5 years sober or so at that point. But I started like rubbing the side of the car, I remember, and just being like, this is awesome. And she's like, oh my gosh, I just bet you were like high. I don't want to be around your stupid.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, but it was kidney stones. It was pretty painful. But again, it wasn't that painful looking back that I couldn't have just done the painkillers as prescribed for 4 or 5, 6 days.
I don't know.
But it gave me
pain?
that taste. Well, after like the 6th day, I was like, man, it still hurts. And it was sort of my head tricking me. And I'm like, it says take 2 every, 4 to 6 hours. But it's, I have a high tolerance because I have an old habit. And I even called the doctor because I'm like, if I don't take it as prescribed, it's going to be a relapse. So can you put 3 every 4 to 6 hours?
Jesus
and he
Christ,
did change it for me. And the 2 didn't really.
That doesn't
took
seem
away
to
the
really
pain,
figure.
But the 3 took it to that like warm feeling, and I was just like, whoa.
Oh man.
I don't know, but yeah. But again, hopefully,
Damn.
I'm not saying like, hey, I don't ever think like, oh, it's nice to just zone out on some opiates. But I think at this point, again, I think it's so. I've messed up so many times and burned so many bridges. I don't think I don't think physically I could come back from it. I think I'd lose everything I've got. And this time it's really in my face because I feel like even last time when I lost some stuff, but I don't feel like I fell too far at that point.
Kevin, were you ever in a position where you were ready to give up on him and just like, hey, fuck this?
Yeah, like, did you get
Had
that?
it?
Yeah, there was
Really?
a few times. Yeah. I mean, the last time, honestly, like I thought he was clean for 6 years, and then it outed that he was only clean for 5, and he'd been using for like the last year of it. And his wife Jordan told me, and he's right. Like when he hooked up with her, he was clean, so she never saw like junkie Mewes, and she was scared. She was like, I don't know how to say this, but I think Jason's using it. I was like, no.
Oh,
it was during Cop Out, and he was out here. He'd come out here at one point because he wanted to be a stunt driver in it. He was like, can I be in the movie? And I was like, I don't think there are any parts. He goes, no, I want to be a stunt man. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, I see there's a car flip. I want to do that.
Holy
so I
shit.
asked Warner Brothers. They were like, I guess if he wants to be, we'll send him to stunt school. So they're going to send him to stunt school to learn to drive. It was like $10,000 or something.
Hal Needham.
That's kind of cool.
He would have needed it.
I know.
But
You were just hoping to get hurt and get painkillers. That's all.
I'm gonna get nothing but oxys. But he, when she told me about it, she was like, he's using, and there was a really sad moment that actually, like years later, is kind of bittersweet and poetic. But I called him. Like when she told me, I was like, well, we got to get him here. We got to intervene. We'll get our friend DK over and he'll take him right to a rehab. Like that's the only way. There's no messing around.
Right.
We can't let him try to do it. I've been down this road. So I called him up. I was like, hey man, what's up? And he's like, hey, how are you? And I was like, why don't you come over and we'll grab some breakfast? He was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, okay. And years later, he would
the bear trap in the front door.
And he said he knew it too. He was just like, I knew something was wrong because you never invite me to breakfast. And years later, that's what we do. We eat breakfast together. We spend a lot of time together now. But at that point, he was like, oh, there's something wrong here. And he got there, and I was like,
it's like calling up the guy to get whacked.
Totally.
Yeah, come on down. I got something I need you to do.
Jason put his pinky ring in the fucking thing.
I appreciate your honesty about it, and I do listen to your podcast when I can, and I love when you're telling your stories when you're fucked up. Holy, there was one, I'm trying to remember, where you were being chased or something and ended up on a movie set. Do you remember something like that? And you ended up being an extra in a movie you didn't want to be in because you were like trying to get rid of some dude?
Yeah, I borrowed my buddy's car and I was going to cop and we were at a red light and I dropped my cigarettes and I reached down but my foot must have came off the brake just a little bit and I swear my car hit it this boom.
Barely tapped it.
Yeah, and the guy's like, we're going to call the cops and they're going to be here. And I'm like, I don't have a license and I have a warrant. And then I'm like, all right, let me pull over, and he jumped through the window because he's like, you're gonna take off, and I'm like, no, I'm just pulling out of the main road because people are beeping and stuff. And he grabbed the keys from me, so now I'm like, there's no way I can even try to sneak out. So I got out of the car and we're talking. I'm like, all right, I'm waiting for the cops. He like turned around and walked back to his car for a second. I was like, whoa. Like, shut it off, and I'm like going down these side streets, and then I saw a dude that had worked on one of the movies, and he's like, "Hey man, what's up, dude?" He's like, "I worked on such and such," and he's like, "I'm an a PA for this movie," and I'm like, all right, I can dip in here and stay away. But then I was in the backyard, and they're like, "Oh, you're here," and while you're here, yeah, it was.
Did they put you on camera? They're like, "Why you're here?"
Exactly.
They kind of put him on camera, or you were like in the background of a scene.
And then it somehow, somehow
we'll give you sanctuary, but you gotta ask for a Coke in the scene.
I didn't tell them why I was running and that I was running for this situation. I was like, "Oh man, and you know what? My car broke down, and I have to go pay this guy. I owe money." And I was like, "You know what?" I was like, "Can you give me a ride down there to pay him off?" So he even wound up giving me, the guy, after I shot a couple things and left, he gave me a ride to the Burger King where I was to meet my guy, and I got out and went over and gave the dude money. I was like, "Yeah, I just paid him off the money I owed him," but I was really picking up. And then I was like, "I'll be right back. I'm going to the bathroom." That was at the point where I couldn't wait to get in the car and get home. I'd like go in the Burger King bathroom and like shoot crack, and it was just ridiculous.
Shoot crack?
Yeah.
How do you shoot crack? I thought you smoked
lemon
crack.
juice. Oh wait, no, water. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I don't want to give away.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people know that, but yeah, you can anyway. There's ways to do it, and it's better if you like that stuff. Anyway, it's bad.
Oh yeah.
It's bad and crazy, and
it's just bad shit.
It got worse and worse, and it was bad. So, but yeah, Jay,
wow, you couldn't even go
Super
home.
Groovy cartoon movie is awesome.
Yeah, sorry, Jason.
Not at all.
Right.
The podcast. I mean, the only reason Jay and Silent Bob's Super Groovy cartoon movie exists is because of shit like this. Like when we started doing Jay and Silent Bob Get Old, which is the podcast we do. It's kind of the intervention podcast. He sits around every week and talks about, he tells funny stories about fucking, and then he tells horrible stories about being fucked up. And,
right.
And, we don't sit there and lecture. Our philosophy is like, handle your high. We got nothing wrong with like fucking booze or drugs. Obviously, I'm a fucking big fat stoner. But when it comes to, your substances, life is hard. If you can't handle your high, put it the fuck down. In the case of Jason, he's just one of those people who can't handle his fucking high. So we went out. We've been doing the podcast for now, what's going on, 2 years, like 103 episodes or whatever. Always a live show. And it's nice because I sit next to him, and every time, like, I've watched him become a really wonderful raconteur. He can tell stories. Like, in the beginning, you'd have to pull the stories out of him. Now, you give him 20 minutes, and he just holds forth, and you're the more reactionary guy than anything else. But during all that, I think the first 2 months after doing it, that's when he was just like, "I want to do something else." Like he wanted to do the podcast every day. And I was like, "Well, if we did a radio show, I guess we could do it every day, but podcast every day, I don't know." And that's when he was just like, "Well, I want to do something else." And it led to the movie. So the movie he was kind of doing to stay sober, and it kind of worked out, turned into something.
I think it's going to be great. I can't wait to see it.
It's funny shit, dude. It's like, I've been in a nice position of not having to, like, work on it. They go off and do the work, and then they're like, "What do you think?" So I'm just the opinion guy.
Right.
And I can be like, "Well, you can lose this because you don't need this, or you can add this, or we can record a new line." But generally speaking, it's been such a gift because, like, I'm doing a bunch of other shit, and then periodically you get an email with a file in it, and you're just watching this cartoon flick. So it slowly came together over the course of about a year and a half, and now we're ready to take it out, and it's fucking funny. It's total stoner comedy.
Nice.
Good fucking. I look forward to this. Is the weird thing about this is every other flick we've ever taken out, even Red State, I've seen it with a bunch of people by the time we bring it to an audience, but this was so isolated and insular, we haven't even screened it for him. Nobody's seen it except me, him, and his lady, and the guy that mixed it, and people that did some songs and stuff.
I'm going Tuesday. Next Tuesday in New York.
Give the website out again too. It is csmod.com/groovy movie. There's a lot of dates up. You can go in because there's too many to give out, but there's like 20 different cities or dates. And of course, it's at that Kevin Smith on. And who are you on Twitter, Jason? You on Twitter?
At JAYMEWES at Mewes. Yeah.
Okay. And
that's out in the world. That requires you to leave your house to go see us. You'll be able to hear the podcast for free later on at Smodcast.
But if you want to go see these live events,
but if you want to go, you got to leave the house. However, we also have a cartoon that if you don't want to leave the house, you can actually watch right now. We just put it up on iTunes yesterday. It's called Kevin Smith's Cartoon Lagoon, and me and him are on the story is
70s sounding cartoon titles.
It's so 70s, dude. It's very
so 70s.
It's Space Ghost Coast to Coast with a little bit of Pee-wee's Playhouse with a little bit of
Sid and Marty Croft.
We have a puppet, dude.
Do you?
A puppet that we interact with, and we're in a cartoon sub that got lost going to Poughkeepsie, and we're being chased by a great white shark that Ralph Garman does a voice for, and then we show cartoons. It's fun, dude. You want to talk about
That's great.
stoner activity, though? Like, I watched it, when it was all finished, and I was like, this wouldn't exist if I didn't smoke weed.
Right.
No
The
kidding.
only reason it exists is because you're like, let's do a puppet show, you know? And we wound up doing it, and it was a lot of fun. So we're going to try to do it. We have all these cartoons that Stark and other people have made off of our podcast. So we're like, well, let's put them in a framework, and the framework is us trapped on this sub fighting this great white shark who comes up through the toilet, and the only way like we could fight him off is with cartoons, so we just keep showing them cartoons. So they can go get that now, Kevin Smith's Cartoon Lagoon on iTunes.
I got to ask you one more thing.
We got to bring Tom in, too.
Tom,
And we're
Tom's
out
here.
here, yeah,
I got to ask you one more thing, though, because obviously you're aficionado as far as comic movies go. Superman, what are you thinking?
Oh,
Are you
trailer. I cried at that trailer.
The trailer's fucking great.
When Kevin Costner goes, "You are my son," like, and he has that crack in his voice.
Yeah.
That really got to me. Whenever they're doing the voiceover about like he'll be this, it's messianic. They're talking about a Christ-like figure about you're going to go to Earth and be this for these people. It looks big, like the opening shot of the trailer with all that chaos. As Krypton's exploding, and it's just single piano cues as opposed to like da 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 da. Right. Everything about it screams like you know all these beats,
and
but we're presenting
Zod.
And Zod. And there's a moment in the trailer that looks like they're doing a version of the Kryptonian prisoner sentencing, because he's sitting there going, "I will find him," and he's kind of looking in cuffs, and he's not on Earth. So it looks like they're going to start kind of the same way. I got excited. Dude.
I got totally excited.
And
I
it's
saw your tweet. It's just like kneel before Zod. I'm like, oh fuck, the trailer's out.
Do you think he says it?
Out.
Do you think they'll say it?
I don't know.
He's got it.
Such a fucking cool
I hope
line.
to God. It looks fantastic.
It looks
I
great.
love that dude. I used to watch the Tudors, and he was always like a really good dude in the Tudors, like one of the few characters in the Tudors with a moral compass of some sort. He looks like he's doing the job.
And Russell fucking Crowe.
Perfect casting.
Yes.
Like all the gravitas that he brings to it. I just cannot wait. It looks phenomenal. The air strikes. Did you see him punching people in the air?
Yeah.
Have you played? I know this is a little close to home too, and we'll get out of here.
No.
There's a game that we did a commercial for called the Injustice Gods Among Us. It's a fighting game by the guys that do Mortal Kombat. And it's all DC Universe characters fighting each other. This game, dude, we've lost so much fucking time and productivity. Because you could just be Batman beating the shit out of Batman, or you could be Batman beating the shit out of Bane, Superman, Batman fighting. It's so fucking badass. But when they have a special move, every character has a special move. And the Superman special move is like, you do the fucking combo button. They zoom in on him and like, get ready for the special move. Superman punches you. You go up through the ceiling, up into the upper atmosphere. You break clouds. You're in outer space. He zips past you, then comes above you and punches you back fucking down to Earth. It is so cool. As much as I love Man of Steel, man, this game it feels like you're actually in charge.
They have it for your iPad and your iPhone too. It doesn't have all those specials, but it's really the fighting is awesome.
It's not a shooter game, but it's a fighter game. But it's by the people that did Mortal Kombat, like Ed Boon and stuff. So it's a pretty bad, like get over here kind of badass fight.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we're off.
I got to piss.
You can stay.
You can stay. We actually more than
It's really up to you.
We got some stuff to do. I don't want to take my man's got.
Okay,
give him the mic.
But I don't want you
and
to
let it
think
be
we're,
serious.
No,
never.
You're
God,
more than
you guys are awesome.
Thank you guys.
Stay.
Hey, Jason, thanks so
Mewes,
much,
Kevin
man.
Smith, of course.
Cool.
Jay and Silent Bob's super groovy cartoon movie. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going
Yeah,
to the.
baby.
I'm
Come on,
going
we got
next week.
tickets for you. We'll put aside.
Where's the Best Buy theater, by the way?
It's right in Times Square, I think.
It's easy.
2 blocks away. Perfect.
We'll find it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.